At 78 years old, Rob Reiner is finally sharing the real story about Carroll O'Connor. Rob Reiner was born on March 6, 1947 in the Bronx, which is part of New York City. He grew up in a home where telling stories, acting, and being creative were just normal, everyday things. His dad, Carl Reiner, was already super famous in comedy. He wrote and acted on really popular TV shows like Your Show of Shows, and later made The Dick Van Dyke Show. Growing up with all that gave young Rob a special chance to watch and learn about comedy, perfect timing, and how to tell great stories. It also taught him all about show business, though he later became his own kind of movie maker and actor, different from his dad's style. Reiner first became famous as an actor in the early 1970s, when he played a character named Michael Meathead Stivic on a super important TV show called All in the Family. His character was a liberal guy who was married to Archie Bunker's daughter, and he always argued with Archie, who was played by Carroll O'Connor. The show became one of the most important and talked about programs on TV back then. It used comedy to talk about serious stuff like racism, politics, how men and women should act, and fights between older and younger people. Reiner's acting made him really well known and respected. It wasn't just a role that made him famous. It also gave him the confidence and attention he needed to try other creative things. While lots of actors might have stayed stuck playing the same type of character after such a famous TV role, Reiner did something different and became a director who could make all kinds of movies. His first movie as a director came out in 1984, and it was called This Is Spinal Tap, a fake documentary that has become one of the most loved comedy movies ever made. What made it special was how it made fun of rock music culture in a really smart way, and it was acted so seriously that some people actually thought it was a real documentary. The movie showed that Reiner knew how to make things funny in ways that were both silly and honest at the same time, and this became something he was really good at throughout his career. After that, Reiner directed a bunch of movies that critics loved and that made lots of money at movie theaters during the 1980s and 1990s. These movies included Stand By Me from 1986, which was based on a Stephen King story and gently explored friendship, death, and growing up from being a kid to being a teenager. It's still one of the most touching coming-of-age movies ever made. Then he directed The Princess Bride in 1987, a movie that mixed fantasy, romance, comedy, and adventure all together. Even though it didn't make tons of money in theaters at first, it became a cult classic and is now thought of as one of the most beloved movies in cinema history. Reiner showed his talent again with When Harry Met Sally in 1989, a romantic comedy that changed what people expected from that type of movie with its clever conversations, real exploration of relationships, and unforgettable moments like the famous restaurant scene. The movie was a big cultural moment and helped make sure everyone knew he was a filmmaker who could mix funny stuff with deep human truths. He followed this with an intense military courtroom drama called A Few Good Men in 1992, which showed he could handle serious, high-pressure drama with the same skill he brought to comedy and romance. The movie had some of the most famous lines in cinema, including Jack Nicholson's You Can't Handle the Truth, which became part of American pop culture. People first really noticed how many different things he could do when he appeared in the very dark comedy Throw Mama from the Train in 1987, a movie where he worked with Billy Crystal and Danny DeVito and got to show off his sharp comic timing. He kept reminding viewers he could do lots of different things in Nora Ephron's beloved romantic classic Sleepless in Seattle in 1993, playing a role that added humor and heart to the story about love and getting a second chance. Woody Allen then used Reiner's skill for unusual comedy by putting him in Bullets Over Broadway in 1994, where he proved he could do great with witty, fast-talking dialogue. From there, Reiner showed up in a bunch of films during the 1990s that made sure everyone knew he was a reliable and likable supporting actor, including The First Wives Club in 1996, the political drama Primary Colors in 1998, and Ron Howard's funny look at reality television called EdTV in 1999. Each performance, while different in feeling, showed Reiner's ability to fit into whatever story he was part of. Reiner also often appeared in his own movies, usually giving himself roles that let him make fun of Hollywood while helping tell the story. His most famous self-casting is still when he played fake documentary maker Marty DeBurgi in This Is Spinal Tap, 1984, the cult rock mockumentary he directed that became super important in comedy film. He later gave himself parts in The Story of Us in 1999 and Alex and Emma in 2001, where he balanced funny and sweet moments, and also a more serious supporting role in Shock and Awe in 2017, his journalism drama about reporters investigating the Bush administration's reasons for the Iraq War. These performances showed his ability to go from satire to sincerity without ever feeling wrong for the part. Beyond scripted roles, Reiner has often been willing to make fun of himself. He made playful cameos in comedies like Dickie Roberts, former child star in 2003, where his willingness to parody himself showed he was self-aware, and in 30 Rock in 2010, where his appearance was a clever wink to fans who knew him as both an insider and someone who makes fun of Hollywood. He later charmed a new generation of viewers with recurring appearances on the hit series New Girl from 2012 to 2018, where his character added depth and warmth to the quirky group of characters. And in 2013, he surprised audiences with a role in Martin Scorsese's The Wolf of Wall Street, holding his own alongside Leonardo DiCaprio in a movie filled with energy, chaos, and sharp performances. Even in recent years, Reiner has continued to remind audiences he's still relevant. In December 2023, he opened the primetime CBS special Dick Van Dyke, 98 Years of Magic, with a heartfelt tribute and on-camera conversation with Dick Van Dyke himself, connecting different generations of entertainment history. For viewers, the moment was a reminder that Reiner isn't just someone who took part in Hollywood's story. He is a living connection between the golden age of television, the groundbreaking films of the late 20th century, and the changing landscape of today's entertainment. Rob Reiner's personal life has been marked by two important marriages that shaped not only his family, but also the direction of his creative journey. In 1971, when his growing fame as an actor was at a high point and before his career as a director had started, Reiner married actress and director Penny Marshall. Marshall was already a well-known figure in the entertainment industry, known for her comedic charm and her rising career that would later grow with her work on the beloved sitcom Laverne and Shirley, and her future success as a groundbreaking female director in Hollywood. Their marriage put two highly creative people under the same roof, both deeply involved in the entertainment world. During their marriage, Reiner legally adopted Marshall's daughter, Tracy Reiner, who was born in 1964 from Marshall's earlier marriage to Michael Henry. Tracy would go on to build her own career as an actress, appearing in a number of well-known films, including A League of Their Own, Apollo 13, and Die Hard. Though Rob Reiner and Penny Marshall eventually divorced in 1981 after 10 years together, their union had lasting importance not only in shaping Tracy's life, but also in creating bonds within Hollywood's interconnected creative community. Even after their split, both remained influential figures in the film and television world, and their time together continues to be remembered as a time when two trailblazing artists shared both personal and professional lives. Several years after his divorce, Rob Reiner's personal life took another important turn during the making of one of his most iconic films. While directing the 1989 romantic comedy When Harry Met Sally, Reiner met photographer Michelle Singer. Their meeting happened by chance, not only changing the direction of Reiner's personal life, but even influencing the film itself. According to Reiner, his relationship with Singer inspired him to change the original ending of the movie. At first, he had planned for the two lead characters played by Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan to go separate ways without a romantic resolution. However, after falling in love with Singer, Reiner thought about it again, deciding instead to give audiences the now famous happy ending that helped make When Harry Met Sally one of the most celebrated romantic comedies of all time. Beyond its movie impact, their connection grew into a lifelong partnership, and Reiner married Michelle Singer later that same year in 1989. Together they built a family, welcoming 3 children into their lives. Jake, born in 1991, who would later follow in his father's footsteps with a career in acting. Nick, born in 1993, who pursued a path as a writer and has spoken openly about personal struggles, even inspiring Reiner's 2015 film, Being Charlie. And Romy, born in 1997, the youngest of the Reiner children. Their family life has been one of stability and love, with Reiner often giving credit to Michelle for bringing joy, balance, and renewed purpose into his life. In many ways, his marriage to Michelle Singer not only influenced one of his most famous films, but also gave him the grounding and inspiration to continue his long, multifaceted career in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, now a celebrated director, actor, and activist, has lived a life filled with remarkable experiences in Hollywood. But one of the most important and meaningful periods of his career came when he worked alongside Carroll O'Connor, the legendary actor who played Archie Bunker on All in the Family. For years, fans wondered what the relationship was like between Reiner, who played the liberal son-in-law Michael Meathead Stivics, and O'Connor, who played the bigoted but strangely lovable patriarch Archie Bunker. Now, at the age of 78, Reiner has spoken openly about their relationship, putting to rest both rumors and wrong ideas. Reiner remembered those early days of All in the Family with a mixture of amazement and deep respect. Carroll O'Connor was one of the most brilliant actors I have ever had the privilege of working with, Reiner said. What people don't always realize is how much of that role came from his incredible intelligence and thoughtfulness. Archie Bunker could have easily been a cartoon, just a one-note caricature. But Carroll gave him humanity. He gave him depth. He made Archie someone you hated, but also someone you weirdly understood. That was Carroll's genius. For many years, there were stories going around that Reiner and O'Connor didn't get along because of the political and generational divide their characters represented. Some fans thought that the fiery arguments on screen were like real-life tension off-screen. Reiner cleared this up. We didn't fight off camera. We didn't hate each other. Quite the opposite. We had enormous affection for each other. Carroll was like a mentor to me. I learned so much from just watching him work. How he could control a scene with just a look or a pause. I was in awe of him. Still, Reiner admitted that the pressure of acting opposite someone as commanding as O'Connor was intimidating. Every time I went into a scene with Carroll, I had to be at the top of my game. He pushed me to be better without ever saying a word about it. He just set such a high bar as an actor that you had to rise to meet it. The show itself dealt with controversial topics: racism, sexism, war, politics, and often sparked heated debates across America. Reiner gave credit to O'Connor for being fearless in taking on such a role. Carroll knew exactly what he was doing. He knew Archie was going to push people's buttons, and he embraced that. He once told me, "If people aren't uncomfortable, then we're not doing our job." That stuck with me my whole career. That idea that art should challenge, not just comfort, has guided me as a filmmaker. Reiner also spoke about the personal side of O'Connor, describing him as deeply thoughtful, warm, and even shy. Off the set, Carroll was very different from Archie. He was gentle, he was kind, and he was always reading. He was an intellectual. People who only knew Archie Bunker would be shocked to see the real Carroll. He hated bigotry. He hated the very things Archie stood for, but he played them with such honesty that people sometimes got confused. But Carroll never confused himself. He knew exactly where he stood. As time went on, Reiner and O'Connor kept their friendship, and Reiner admitted that O'Connor's influence on his life went well beyond the years of All in the Family. He showed me that you could use humor to open people's minds. He showed me that an actor's job is to make people feel, even if it makes them uncomfortable. I carried that with me into directing films like Stand By Me and A Few Good Men. That's Carroll's influence right there. When asked if there was one thing he wanted the world to know about O'Connor, Reiner became thoughtful. The truth is, Carroll O'Connor was one of the kindest men I ever met in this business. People saw Archie and thought maybe Carroll had a little of that in him, but he didn't. He was generous, he was supportive, and he cared deeply about people. I think the world misunderstood him sometimes because the character was so strong, but Carroll himself was nothing like Archie. And I feel lucky, really lucky that I got to know him. At 78, Rob Reiner's words carry the weight of a long and distinguished career, and his tribute to Carroll O'Connor not only clears away old wrong ideas, but also shines a light on the legacy of an actor whose work continues to matter decades later. "I loved him," Reiner said simply. "He wasn't just my co-star, he was my teacher, my friend, and one of the greats."